before each step, I like to do a little drawing. They're not numerically correct, but it's good to see the concept. Start off, you're going to chain 5 and slip stitch the first and last stitch together. I'm using weight 4 yarn, 3.5mm hook, and some scissors. After you created the loop, chain 3 and double crochet chain 1 9 times, going within the loop that we created before each time, going through the center opening of it. We're counting the chain 3 as a double crochet chain 1, so it'll be a total of 10 stitches. Once I finish my 10th stitch, I just go into the gap after the chain 3 and just slip stitch it together to make it a clean circle. Now we're going to be putting an increase in every single gap that we created. The gap is basically the chain 1 space that we have. So to start off, we're going to chain 3. By switching colors, I just make a slip knot and then pull the slip knot through the opening. And you're just going to chain 3, which is considered to be a double crochet chain 1. And then since that's considered to be one, you want to go back into that same stitch and do another double crochet chain 1. Go all the way around. Since we're going to be putting an increase in each one, it's going to be a total of 20 double crochet chain 1 stitches, and that is going to be the number. Now we're going to be changing colors and then chaining 3 again. So for this row, instead of doing an increase in every one, we're going to be doing one in every other. So it's going to be regular and then increase, and then regular and then increase, and just going back and forth. A good way that I like to remember, I'll have to repeat this again later when it makes more sense, but once I know that I put a hook in to an increase in the previous row, then I know the next stitch is going to be the increase. So that's a good way, if you don't feel like counting, to remember. And the good thing about this one is we don't need a stitch marker because the color change kind of tells us when it is done. I also just realized I didn't put this in the text, but to close each row, just slip knot it together to the first chain 3 if you haven't been already. So I'm going back and doing an increase and just chaining 1. Another thing to keep in mind, if you don't know where to pull the yarn through for each row, I like to give it one gap after an increase from the previous row, like our last increase, because I know I'm going to be increasing there and we like to end on an increase. So you can see me moving it. And make sure, another reminder, that when you are doing the chain 3, you count that as one of the stitches so that you don't increase too early and it's uneven. So you should be on the right track if you're finishing with an increase each row. We're going to be doing this until we have a total of 70 stitches. So for the next row, we're going to be having 50 and just moving back the increase each time. So now we know for 60 that we're going to be doing a double crochet chain 1 in the next 4 gaps and then increase in the 5th gap. I don't know if everyone else thinks this way when they're doing circles, but I like to think, okay, I know it's going to be a multiple of 6 within 10, so I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then once I get to every 5th number, I know that's where I have to put an increase because 6 is right after. That's just one way I've always thought of doing it. Now we're on our last row of increases, and you're going to be doing double crochet, chain 1 in the next 5 gaps, and then increase in the 6th gap. Repeat the rest of the row. And this will be our last row of increases. If you didn't know already, this is the bottom circle of the bag. Now we don't have to worry about increases anymore, and we can just do a double crochet, chain 1 in each gap for 23 more rows. We finished already 7 rows, so it's going to be until we reach 30, and that's going to just create the rest of the body of the bag. Almost done. Now we just have to create the straps. In order to do this, we're going to change colors, chain 3, and then start off with a double crochet decrease, and then chain 1 after. So for a double crochet decrease, you're going to yarn over as a normal double crochet and then go in 1 gap, the next gap, and then pull through 2, and then yarn over again, go through the next gap, pull through 2, and then pull through 3. And then chain 1. So we're just starting and ending with the decrease. So you're going to just do double crochet, chain 1 in the next 16 gaps. I know this is a personal preference, but I just didn't weave in my ends until now because you're going to be able to see where you didn't weave in your ends. So it's either you could crochet over them, but there's a slight chance that they do stick out, but honestly it really isn't that noticeable for me. But I like to crochet over them, pull them tight, and then pull them loose after I crocheted over them. But you can also go in later with a sewing needle and crochet over them as well, which I think would give you a more neat look, but of course it comes at a cost and it will take a little longer. But depending on who you're making this for, if you want it to look super neat. But for myself, you know, I'm a little lazy. Now we're just going to keep decreasing, but we're not going to actually have to do a double crochet decrease. Instead, we're just going to skip a gap because I found out that looks neat and ended up working. So you just insert your hook at the end of the row, changing the colors. And then I'm going to chain 3, and instead of going back into that stitch that I put the slip knot in and the chain 3, I'm going to skip it and just go to the next one. Just putting a double crochet into the second one and then chaining 1 and then going all the way down. You want to do this until you have 5 gaps left, which is going to create a little triangle without its top, and then will be a good size for the rest of the strap to go over our shoulders. Now to finish off the strap, we're just going to do chain 3, double crochet in each gap, repeat for 15 rows. So all throughout the pattern, we've kind of been using the chain 3 as a stitch, but for this, for the edges to be straight, we need to just put a double crochet in the first one as well as the chain 3. And you're just going to keep repeating that for 15 more rows. Now, depending on preference, if you have a yarning needle, then you can use that to sew the straps together, but I just slip stitch them together, grabbing the inside of each side to connect the straps. If you have made it this far and you have made the bag, please comment down below. Even if you DM it to me on Instagram, I love seeing the things and the different color combinations that you guys have made. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!